It was said some 30 years ago at the inflection point of research in cell biology, where at that time, some of you will remember Jim Till and the late Bun McCullough had proven the clonality of the spleen-forming, colony-forming unit in the mouse. It was a turning point, wasn't it, in the history of cell biology. And in fact, it was apocryphal because it proved once and for all the pluripotentiality potential of stem cells. Well, it was 30 years ago, this year, that this is almost the size of a pamphlet now, but then the journal called Stem Cells was founded. And for 30 consecutive years, it has grown, and many of you here have had your peer-accepted publications published in that journal. 30 years hence, that is this year, we are also at a point of inflection where the work at the bench must go to the bedside. And it is the journal Stem Cells Translational Medicine that is committed to that. We're very grateful that Dr. Tony Atala is going to be its editor. It reminds me, just before I asked Tony to come and give you his vision, of that statement that Churchill was quoted as having said just towards the end of another great conflict, the end of the Second World War, when he mused and paused and said, "Give us the tools, and we will finish the job." In your laboratories, in your hands, you are fashioning those tools that will be finishing the job when it actually translates from the laboratory bench to the patient who is in need. One of the great tool makers in our field is Dr. Tony Atala, and it gives me great honor to invite Tony. Would you please come and share with everyone your vision, Tony? Tony Atala, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Marty. The whole field actually owes you. I don't know if you know about Marty Murphy and Ann Murphy, his dear wife Ann, who's also with Marty today, and her son Marty III, who actually 30 years ago had the vision to start the very first journal in the field of stem cells, which of course everyone knows is a journal titled Stem Cells. Very simple name. They were the first journal, and it remains today the premier journal for the stem cell field. So actually, it was their vision to start this journal that would be called Stem Cells Translational Medicine. And just about the time when they started having this vision, which they were really thinking about it, and we started talking about the journal. Actually, the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, CIRM, decided to put also a call out for a journal in the field because they felt that there was this major need in the field for a journal that would address translational studies. So CIRM put out a call for journals to actually submit applications, and that they would actually help to fund and launch a new journal. Interestingly, though, this was not a new concept for the Murphys. It was not a new concept for the journal Stem Cells, which was the first journal in the field. It was actually just an extension of their thought and their vision that the next step, after 30 years of dealing in the basic research arena, was to actually start to translate what they saw as the need for a center to publish these studies as they went into patients. And what a better time to do that than now. As we're seeing an inflection point in our field, as we're seeing this change in our field, going forward, where we're finally seeing a lot of these technologies reaching patients in many different areas. There are now therapies being used for eyes, for patients with blindness, and actually some patients, and these are very respectable, FDA-approved studies right here in the U.S. There are studies for so many different conditions with some of the studies you're going to hear about coming out of a series for Crohn's disease and for heart disease, Thersis and other industry and other investigators, looking at the future of the field and how this is affecting patient health care, to finally see the promise of stem cells becoming a reality right before our very eyes. So what a better way to do that than to have a journal that will address this specific need, a journal where we can depend on with the same professionalism and peer review system that Stem Cells has had for the last 30 years, to have a journal that will do the same for the translational aspect of this field. So it is really a pleasure to be able to work with the Murphys and for them to be here with this foundation, the Regenerative Medicine Foundation, that actually is dedicated to translational medicine, for us to partner, us meaning the Murphys and myself, to partner together in this enterprise for the future, and I hope that you will support it. The vision of the journal is really to bring together the best scientific papers in the field that will chart the course for our future, not only for our investigations, but also for the benefit of our patients and their health care. So it is with a lot of enthusiasm that we stand before you, launching this new journal today and announcing the official launch of the journal today at this meeting. And we hope that you will submit your papers to the journal, and the first journal will actually be active, will be published. The first volume will be 2012, January 2012. It'll actually come out December 2011, because that's the way the journal goes out, but it's really a January 2012 issue, so we will request that if you have currently papers in your specific areas that you would like to launch, there will be no better place than this journal. Thank you so much to the Murphys and what they have done for this field. We honor you today, and thank you for having me up here talking. Thank you.